When learning about cars, users will be extremely surprised with a new car company using electric energy. BYD, Build Your Dreams. China's largest electric car company belonging to BYD Group, with the ambition to develop BYD into a global electric car company. When BYD appeared on the market and announced the price, this electric car line immediately attracted a lot of attention from the domestic and international community, because this car company is too cheap compared to electric cars in the same segment of famous companies in the world. Besides, the car is luxuriously designed, eye-catching, and has an extremely delicate interior. These can be considered as the outstanding advantages of the Chinese branded electric car. Owning a cheap, modern, and beautiful car is always the desire of many people. BYD has timely grasped the needs of the market and has launched a series of models that meet those criteria. BYD, starting as a battery manufacturer founded in 1995, has risen to become the leading manufacturer of new energy electric cars, a concept used to refer to electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids in China. In 2023, BYD has produced up to 3.02 million new energy vehicles. American multinational Tesla has announced that it has produced 1.84 million cars. However, BYD's sales figures include 1.6 million battery-only cars and 1.4 million hybrid vehicles. That means Tesla remains the leader in making battery-only cars. However, in the last quarter of last year, BYD surpassed Tesla for the first time, selling more battery-powered vehicles than Tesla, with between 484,000 and 526,000. In today's video, Top Wonders invites you to find out how a little-known Chinese battery maker grew so fast to become Tesla's biggest rival. Why has BYD overtaken Tesla to become the world's biggest-selling electric car maker? And what are the challenges BYD faces while at the top of the world? But before coming to the main content, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let us know how you feel about each video under the comments section below. For now, let's dive into the issue right here. BYD is currently run by the founder and chairman, Wang Shanfu. Its name stands for Build Your Dreams. The automaker is also an example of Chinese President Xi Jinping's ambitions. It is to increase the country's power in the world. BYD has sold products to 53 countries and territories. At BYD's headquarters on the outskirts of Shenzhen, tens of thousands of employees are working in more than 10 office buildings and factories. They travel back and forth by an elevated railway built by BYD itself. There are also dormitories for employees and a museum honoring hundreds of engineers, as well as the company's financial achievements. A wall in this plots BYD's revenue, from almost zero in 1995 to 424 billion yuan, or $60 billion in 2022. Here are the three most important things that have made BYD the king of electric vehicles. Firstly, the Chinese government has played a huge role in the rise of BYD. Beijing has given the industry an estimated $30 billion in tariff exemptions since 2010 and could add another $97 billion by 2027. China has always set mandatory output targets for EV automakers, but it also offers cheaper land and R&D loans and subsidies to all those EV manufacturers. And BYD has benefited greatly from that. It still sells most of its electric vehicles in its home market. Secondly, most of BYD's vehicles are simply a lot cheaper than Tesla's, which accounts for about 20% of sales from the Chinese market. In fact, it sells 10 popular models, starting from Tesla's cheapest price for the Model 3 sedan, and BYD sells many cheaper vehicles in its lineup. They have very cheap models starting at $10,000. Their approach is wildly different in the sense that Elon Musk believes you have to start from the premium segment with a high-performance car to get people interested in electric vehicles, and then work your way down the price spectrum. BYD went into it from the other end, where it was about cheap taxis and buses that needed a lot of batteries and really, reduce the price of batteries they could put in coaches. While the average price paid for a Tesla is around $45,000, the average BYD sells for half the price. That, of course, begs the question, how can they sell them so cheaply? The secret of that price tag lies in what's known as vertical integration. Our vertical integration gives us flexibility, faster response to market trends, as well as better positioning for brand growth and customer service. Thirdly, one of BYD's advantages over its American and European counterparts is its ability to produce its own electric vehicle batteries. It's a fancy way of saying that they do a lot of things themselves that go into their cars. Automakers typically buy most components from suppliers such as Bosch, Continental, and Aptiv. For example, Volkswagen produces only 35% of the parts in its ID.3 electric car. Meanwhile, Tesla makes 68% of the parts that go into the Model 3 made in the US. BYD manufactures 75% of the parts that go into the Seal, its flagship model. The most important factor is that BYD is the only automaker that produces all the batteries itself. That was hugely important during the pandemic when supply chains were in complete turmoil for the industry. The fact that BYD has taken control of its own destiny puts them ahead of the rest of the industry, and especially when it comes to batteries. Susanna Streeter, the head of currency and markets at investment platform Hargreaves Lansdown, said, "Despite being the world's leading supplier of rechargeable batteries, Tesla still relies on a number of suppliers and has warned of lithium shortages as demand rises as an obstacle to supply chains in the economy." BYD has made moves to secure the precious metal by buying a stake in a Chinese lithium producer. They are eyeing the purchase of mines in Africa and are looking for assets in South America where metals are mined. China's emergence as the best-selling electric vehicle maker comes at a critical time, the start of a presidential election year in the U.S. Sino-U.S. relations, especially on trade, will likely be an important part of the presidential election campaign. Which looks set to be a fight between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Last month, the Biden administration introduced new protectionist measures for its electric vehicle market by blocking subsidies entirely through his Inflation Reduction Act for electric vehicle companies, with critical links to China. U.S.-made electric vehicles, including Chinese-made battery parts, would also be blocked from accessing full subsidies. The Wall Street Journal also reported just before Christmas that the U.S. government was considering raising tariffs on some Chinese goods, including electric vehicles, to boost the U.S. clean energy sector. This would be on top of the 25% tariff on vehicles imported from China, imposed under Trump's presidency and extended under the Biden administration. The U.S. is seeking to act in other areas where it is concerned about China's manufacturing capabilities. The question now is whether it can become one of the largest automakers in the world, and that means growing outside of China. In 2021, BYD began accelerating its global expansion. It began rolling out more passenger cars across global markets, including the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Europe. Chinese electric car makers such as BYD and NIO have set their sights on becoming major players in the international market, with a particular focus on Europe. In December, BYD, which sold 5 models in Europe and planned to launch 3 more this year, announced plans to build a new plant in Hungary. Last year, the company said it had not considered building its first European factory in Britain because of Brexit's influence. BYD said the UK had not even made it to the list of 10 possible locations to build its first car plant in Europe. BYD remains a newcomer to the global market. Although its contribution to volume is increasing, it is still small. However, BYD within 3 years has become one of the best-selling EV brands in markets such as Thailand, Brazil, and Australia. It remains to be seen whether this company can quickly grow in some of the newer markets it is entering, where it is not well known, it is not recognized. The two most prominent challenges in BYD's global expansion will be regulatory uncertainty and brand awareness. The European Union is investigating China's EV subsidies. The Chinese automakers are exporting more EVs to Europe because these cars are made in China. Production costs are quite low, which allows automakers to set prices in Europe cheaper than their European counterparts, which is very alarming for the European auto industry. One way to solve that problem is to increase the amount of local production. To be sure, localization is one of the very important strategies in BYD's European strategy. And so we're looking at evaluating different locations in Europe and where we can build cars. And aside from buses and trucks, BYD is not available in the US. Trade tensions between Beijing and Washington are holding back BYD and causing it to pause its entry into the US market. For years, automotive experts have predicted that established auto giants like GM, Volkswagen, or Toyota will catch up with Tesla in the field of electric vehicles. In retrospect, it's perhaps no surprise that a Chinese rival got there first. China's best-selling electric car maker is aiming to sell about 800,000 cars a year in Europe by 2030. However, these targets could be threatened after the European Commission opened an anti-subsidy investigation last September into Chinese imports of electric vehicles. The rise of BYD underscores China's increasingly dominant position in the electric vehicle sector. Chinese automakers have adapted faster than Western auto companies to market highly digital electric vehicles. According to predictions by Zhejiang Securities, BYD's production may increase to 4.3 million units this year. BYD likes to describe itself as the biggest car brand you have never heard of. Even if you have never heard of BYD, there is still a chance you have been in one of its buses, while its taxis prowl the streets of some of the world's largest cities. But buses and taxis are not the reason why BYD has overtaken Tesla. Instead, it is the result of long-term strategic thinking on the part of BYD itself and the Chinese government. And it's establishing China as the dominant global player in transportation of the future. Electric vehicles, a business that could be worth $8.8 trillion by the end of the decade. Do you want to own an electric car from BYD? Let us know how you feel in the comments section below. That's it for our video here today. We wish you a happy and energetic day. If you like the video, click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss the latest and hottest videos on the Top Wonders channel. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next videos.